Welcome to another edition of Ask Isaiah, shows Isaiah Rhodes, and I'm totally disgusted. I think the last time we spoke, the conference finals were in the throes of a potential sweep. Obviously, I was wrong. And when you're in sports, when you're a sports analyst, you have the right to be wrong. Being a sports analyst is similar to being a weather person. You could be wrong because the uh, the human element, just like Mother Nature, can throw off a lot. And it's par for the course. So I was wrong. There was no sweeps. Both series went seven. LeBron James is amazing. Mike D'Antoni's system, while being good in the regular season, is bound to fall in the postseason. Unfortunately, Chris Paul got hurt, so it didn't work out that way. He actually put them in position to win. They went up 3-2, but I just think the fact that the Rockets took so many threes over a series in a season, it really came back to haunt them in terms of having dead legs at the wrong time. And that was obvious by shooting 7 for 44 in the game 7 at home from three, including 0 for 12 from Trevor Ariza. But that's beside the point. The Warriors were the better team, and LeBron James was too dominant for the Boston Celtics. You have the fourth straight installment of Warriors Cavs. Game one was last night, and when I think about what LeBron James has had to carry over this season, four different variations of a team to get to this final product, which is Jordan Clarkson, J.R. Smith, Jeff Green, Kevin Love, Larry Nance, Rodney Hood, George Hill. This supporting cast is horrible. And I don't mean that in a sense of they can't play. They're NBA players. They're obviously good at basketball to a certain degree. But when you think about the level of competition that's being put forth, the great basketball being displayed on all fronts when it comes to NBA level performance, peak performance basketball. These guys are not the creme de la creme, but they have a guy that is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. And I want to apologize to LeBron James because in the early parts of the season, especially like halfway point, close to halfway point around January, February, I was really disgusted with his effort in certain degrees. But now I truly fully understand what he does and how he raises his game to a totally different level than what he is in the regular season. And he has to because of the competition that he has to face and what he has to carry. This Golden State team will potentially go down as one of the greatest teams to ever be assembled. And that's before Kevin Durant. You add Kevin Durant. They're top heavy. The depth of this team is not good. And specifically for this particular matchup, I think Cleveland has a shot. Because of my profound respect for LeBron James, I guarantee it's going 6 games. LeBron's going to get 2 wins. Now you're going to say to me, how are they going to get 2 wins without a Kyrie Irving? I'm of the opinion that because Kyrie is gone, LeBron doesn't have a choice but to score. And when LeBron James is in attack mode as a scorer, that's dangerous for the opposition, which means even if players are struggling scoring, they're going to find ways to find baskets based off his aggressiveness. And that's what we saw last night. 51 points, 19 of 32 from the floor. Just a completely masterful, virtuoso performance all around the court in terms of shooting, attacking the rim, just finding his teammates. He had 8 rebounds and 8 assists. I thought Cleveland had a good game plan, especially in the first 4 quarters, in terms of shrinking the game, utilizing shot clock, and just forcing Golden State to play at a pace that they're not really used to. I thought that even though Golden State really hit them in waves throughout the game, it wasn't enough to throw Cleveland off their square. And I felt like specifically in that third quarter where we saw Golden State outscore Cleveland by 6 points, it wasn't as if the damage affected Cleveland psychologically, because you know that even when you rest the LeBron James for a 2 minute window and they make their run, when he comes back in, the whole trajectory of the game changes, and that's what we saw. When he comes in the fourth quarter, he's not coming in necessarily to score right away, but it's really to stabilize the offense. And I think once he came back in, now you see Jeff Green scoring. You see JR hitting threes. And even when Golden State goes up by 7, it doesn't deter Cleveland. Whereas, like, if you're playing Houston without a Chris Paul and it's just James Harden, James is not the type of player that I would want to be a primary scorer and facilitator. I think the beauty of him and Chris Paul's relationship, especially in the latter parts of the season, is that the roles get more defined. Yes, they do handle the ball together, but in the closing moments of a game, the primary facilitator is Chris Paul. The scorer is James Harden. But when you put that primary when you put both responsibilities on James Harden in the high pressure situations, you start to see those uncanny turnovers at the wrong time and things of that nature. With LeBron, he's so used to that, to both roles and playing at a high level. That's why you're able to see Cleveland, despite limited resources compared to what Golden State has, they're still able to be in the game. Now, we have to get to the complete ending. I mean, when I say I'm disgusted, I'm truly disgusted. You would think the Cleveland Cavaliers are the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm just going to be honest with you. J.R. Smith, full disclaimer here. I would be lying to you if I said I thought that J.R. Smith would be a player that could contribute to a championship team. I would be lying to you if I said J.R. Smith's abilities can contribute to 5 conference championship appearing teams. And he's won 4 Eastern Conference championships. J.R. Smith has carved out a nice career for himself despite his reputation and despite some of his gaffes on the floor. But last night was the epitome of what people think of J.R. Smith as a whole. He's a great talent, but sometimes he loses his head. And in the worst moment possible, J.R. Smith had a brain fart. I mean, to be able to get an offensive rebound off a George Hill miss, which we're going to get back to that. He misses the free throw. The game is tied at 106. J.R. Smith decides to dribble out towards the three-point line, which in theory is smart if you want to get an open shot. He's under the basket. He could potentially get blocked if he tried to throw it up right away, and it's time on the clock. Okay, you dribble out the paint. But he runs away from LeBron James and continues to dribble so much that now, when it's potentially time to call a timeout, the Cleveland Cavaliers can't, and George Hill is forced to put up a heave that's after the buzzer. So J.R. Smith dribbled out Cleveland's chances to win the game. Now you say, oh, there's overtime. But the emotions of that potential moment were diffused in a way that it can't be recovered. Psychologically, Cleveland was already done. They thought they had the game. Now, let's go to George Hill. Many will say, well, George Hill, if he makes his free throw, wouldn't be in that position. I'm of the opinion that it worked in Cleveland's benefit because, okay, let's say George Hill makes the free throw. It's a 1-point game with 4.5 seconds left. Golden State has an opportunity to score. Now, you have the lead. We have to go back previous plays. Cleveland's in foul trouble. They're in a penalty, and you have 3 of the best shooters in the NBA. Now, some might say, well, execution down the stretch isn't Golden State's strong suit when there's pressure when there's pressure in the game. That could be the case. But I would say if I have the ball in a tie game with LeBron James on my side, knowing how hot he was at that moment, he had 49 points, he was completely dominating, I don't think I want to put my defense to the test against the Golden State down only up 1. If we were up 3, then I'll say, okay, I'll live with a tough contest on the 3. Or if we're up 4, you know what will happen. But it's a 1-point game, and the basket can turn this whole thing around. But if I have a tie game with LeBron having 49 points, hot at the moment, have an opportunity to win, and if we miss, I go to OT, I can live with that. That's best case scenario in my eyes. Now, George, if you made your free throws, Cleveland wouldn't be in this position. But that's beside the point. J.R. Smith completely threw away that game, and now Cleveland psychologically has to recover in a way where they can still take home court advantage in Golden State, but Golden State will be, I believe, more sharper because they knew that they almost blew that game. So luck was on their side, so they're going to come back and be more prepared in a way where Cleveland will have to adjust to the firepower that's going to come at them. I think Game 2, Golden State could potentially just blow that game out just to prove a point. We'll have to see. I think LeBron and his high level efficiency will put Cleveland in a position to win, but we have to see how long the supporting cast can keep up with what LeBron has to carry. For the series itself, as I mentioned, I think it's going to go 6 guaranteed, but out of respect for LeBron. But more than anything, I think that the levels at which he can play against this team is going to be a marvel to watch. I think in terms of how this series is going to end individually for LeBron, the collective of this playoff will be his magnum opus. He's going to potentially score 850 total points for a playoff, which would be a record. He's going to probably have 200 assists and 200 rebounds, and to even put forth 750 points, 200 and 200. That just goes to show you all around great brilliance. But to put forth a potential 850, that's what will have to be required. He'll have to average 400. I mean, he'll have to average over 40 points for Cleveland and win games. Right now, he has 663 points, which is, I mean, you can't even really put that into words how great of a player he's been in this playoffs, averaging close to 36 points per game. He's averaging 9 assists, 8.7 rebounds. I mean, those all-around numbers are what has been required to even get this 4 seed to the finals. I want to give great respect to the Boston Celtics because they really pushed Cleveland as a young team. As young as they were still able to maximize that particular team with limited parts. You know, Kyrie Irving was supposed to be there, Gordon Hayward was supposed to be there, but they had a diamond in Jason Tatum, and they showed what Terry Rozier truly could be. And Al Horford was a veteran presence. Those things matter. But LeBron was just too good. I call him Thanos from the Avengers. He's this generation of Thanos. And if he can pull off this upset against the Golden State Warriors, a team that is favored to win by such odds, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the largest underdog since 2002. That's amazing. If you go back to that series, look who was playing in that series: the New Jersey Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, all 4 games were close, but who did the Lakers have? They had that generation of Thanos, Shaquille O'Neal. So when I look at what Cleveland has, it's going to be tough. But they have LeBron. LeBron's efficient. He's prolific. He's a playmaker. And I just feel like this Golden State team isn't as sharp as it once was. So we're going to have to see how it turns out. But this is Isaiah Rhodes. Ask Isaiah. We're going to have more episodes coming forth. J.R. Smith, get better. Kevin Love, you got to get better, especially in the post. If you post up Kevin Love, you can't be getting ripped in the post. That's unacceptable. I felt Jeff Green had a good game. I thought Larry Nance had a good game. I thought Jordan Clarkson contributed to winning. He didn't score as much, but he contributed in hustle plays and just playing solid defense. Not the best, but solid. Salute to Jordan Clarkson in that regard. But we'll see how it turns out. Ask Isaiah. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Whatever you want to do. We'll be back. Game 2, Sunday, 9 p.m., ABC. Ask Isaiah.